Thank you, thank you. Welcome everybody back to IELTS Face Off. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. Now, like most of you, I've been spending a lot more time at home just chilling. And whenever I am lazing about in my house, I can't help but think of the fond memories I had in Chino, California. In case you're not familiar with the place, it's a charming little town just an hour away from LA, where I would go every year because my host parents in America had family in Chino. And whenever I was in Chino, I distinctly remember thinking to myself, this is what heaven must feel like. I mean, I basically did nothing all day. There was no itinerary, no agenda whatsoever. I just went out to the garden every day, picked fresh pomegranate off the trees, lied on my hammock, and just whiled away the day, basking in the glorious Californian weather. And with all the depressing headlines that I see every day about COVID-19, more specifically about how the situation is unfolding in America, I can't help but wonder how long it will be until I can experience that haven again. In this episode of IELTS on the Go, our host turns me on to a more feasible domestic alternative, the chilling delta of Vĩnh Long province. Following the impossibly charismatic Thiện Khiêm, we'll get to experience what it is like to be self-sufficient, to be around nature all the time, and to live without a care in the world. The cool thing about such a destination is that since you won't be doing anything all day, you can leisurely pull up Elsa Speak, the unique artificial intelligence app that helps you perfect your English pronunciation 24/7, and just work on your pronunciation. And it's really the best of both worlds. I can't wait to find out, so let's check it out.
Hi everyone, I'm Thiện Khiêm and this is another episode of IELTS on the Go in the southwestern of Vietnam. We're always on the go, as you know, but today we're visiting a very small yet beautiful province. It's Vĩnh Long, and to be more specific, I'm currently at the An Bình island, and today I'm very happy to be joined by a super talented guest. You probably have heard about his reputation. Please welcome Anh Long!
Wow, thank you so much. And hi everyone, I am Bùi Ngọc Long, Voice of the Years of IELTS Face Up Season 4.
Voice of the
and yeah, so welcome to my hometown, An Bình Island, which is a haven of peace and tranquility.
So where are you taking me today?
I will take you, secret. I will take you to somewhere which is really beautiful.
Okay, let's go!
Okay.
So where are we?
I think it's the bee farm. I actually don't really know about this because this is the first time I've been here.
So why we're taking a stroll around here and discover this place? Can I ask you something about your English?
Okay.
Yeah, we all know that you are the voice of the year, so you
Yeah,
must be
thank
excelled
you.
at English. So on your way to mastering the language, what is your biggest obstacle?
My biggest obstacle is to kind of, get out of my comfort zone to speak, because, whenever I speak English, I actually afraid of making mistakes or kind of thing. But one day, I actually found a secret to speak English more fluently. Like, yeah, you can imagine you speak English like how you want to speak Vietnamese. So it doesn't matter if you make some mistakes or kind of thing, because it's still very lovely.
So that must be a magical secret, because as you can see, he's very confident and he's so easy with his English.
Just stay true to yourself.
Okay,
to speak English.
just stay true to yourself. So do you have any piece of advice for those viewers out there who are gonna compete in the Voice of the Week next year? Because as you know, the competition is such a rat race and you have a very high rate of competition.
Well, as I mentioned, you must stay true to yourself and speak whatever in your mind. Don't be afraid of making mistakes like I did at one time. And you have to be very confident, because, confidence can lead to success.
So, as the voice of the year, you are visiting Australia this July, right?
Yes.
So far, what have you been preparing for the trip to another continent?
Well, I actually don't have any preparations because now I am working. I'm working here in Kansas City. You know, after being on IELTS Face Off, I got a lot of invitations and you know, job opportunities from some language centers or companies, both national and international.
So that's quite a talk for today. We've got to know our guest better and got to know his secret to mastering English. And now I wonder what this place has to offer.
Oh, follow me. I will take you to somewhere which is called a green paradise.
Green paradise. I'm just so eager to discover it.
Okay. Follow me.
Whoa. Guys, we're entering a tropical fruit garden, and this is such a heaven for fruit lovers like me. And see, I've just picked some rambutans right from the trees. And you want to have some?
Yeah, thank you.
So Anh can you tell us a little bit about the history of this place? Because so far, all we've known is that this place has super friendly people and super scrumptious food.
Yeah, you know, actually this is my very first time to be here, and actually don't really know much about this place, but I spent an entire night reading lots of materials about it, and yeah, I will share with you something more theoretical or advanced, like cultural history. You know, in the past, according to some anthropologists, yeah, this place was just a dense jungle with loads of ferocious wild animals like tigers or poisonous, you know, snake or spider. Yeah, I'm scared by the spider. But one day, some people came to this place with the hope that they would start a new life and get away from the remnants of the feudal society or bloody wars, that kind of thing. And yeah, they succeeded, and they made this place yes, a kind of fertile island. Yeah.
So what about the lifestyle of the local people?
Lifestyle of local people? Have you ever heard climate can change or influence one's nature?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, not to be rude. In like, you know, the erratic weather and yeah, the north of our country, the climate in the south is milder. Yes, yeah, milder. So people are more likely tend to be down to earth and super friendly. And you know, the most interesting and respectful thing is that they never fight against Mother Nature. They just want to live in accordance with her, and you know, nature treats us so well. And there's one very famous saying: if you are living in the Mekong Delta, you will never be afraid of starving, because whenever you got the munchies, go fishing or picking up some fruits or veggies in the back garden, and then you will have a delicious meal.
Oh my God, what you've said just strengthened my love for this land. Okay,
and when it comes to rambutan, did I pronounce it correctly? Yeah, I actually don't remember, but this is my perennial favorite fruit because it's packed with a lot of phytonutrients, beneficial phytonutrients and vitamins, and it actually can help, you know, slow the aging process or help you lose weight and get leaner because it's rich in fiber and antioxidants.
So thank you a lot for your useful information, and I also noticed that you've managed to use some very academic words such as remnant and ferocious, and also you have some problem pronouncing the words rambutan, right? Because I'm not sure about that too. So can I have a minute to check it with my companion, also speak?
Yes.
Rambutan. Oh my God. I'm embarrassed. I got only 16.
Wow, beauty.
Remnants. Oh yes, I got 89.
Wow.
That's fair. So I've learned 3 very useful words today. Thank you for enlightening me. And I'm just so eager to immerse myself in a new experience. What do you have for me?
Yeah, you know, after visiting many splendid places, I know you feel a little bit weary now, but that's not the end of the story. I will give you a kind of challenge, and this challenge is kind of scrumptious and a little bit sweaty. So it's a secret. Follow me.
Okay, let's go.
So that sounds like just the place where I need to be right now. But I'm wondering, in such a laid-back setting, what kind of challenge awaits our host Thiện Khiêm? Let's find out, shall we?
Hi guys, welcome back to An Bình Island. I'm standing next to an enormous jar, not knowing what my challenge is gonna be. So
yeah, your challenge is to make scallop nướng chuỗi, or grilled snakehead fish or kind of thing. That's why I wear my shirt today with fish skeleton pattern. Okay, and this is your challenge. And you know this food is very signature in the Mekong Delta, and it has been sticking with people's life for thousands of years, kind of thing. But you know, it's famous because of the simplicity of the making, of the process of making it. All you need to do is to catch fish. In case you don't know, you can ask Dustin for help. He's an expert in this area.
Got it. Got a free boat. And yeah, I cut my hand already. I hate catching these with my hands. Every video I say that. And then soup six.
And the next thing, is you have to pierce this fish with a very long stick, and from mouth to tail, and then put it in this very giant jar, and wait until it cooked.
So now I'm gonna do it. I already feel a lot of pressure because this is gonna be our lunch today. Oh my god. I've usually been a good cook, but now it's so tricky. Oh, come on. Yeah. Okay.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh. Wow, congratulations.
Oh, come on.
And then we have to put it in
the
a
jar,
very giant pot with, a haystack or kind of thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then cover them with a haystack, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, come on. I can do it.
You know, the most special thing is we don't need to marinate it with any staple spices or kind of thing. We just take the meat and dip it into fish sauce. Now we have to pick some hay.
And cover them over.
Okay.
So we need to get more hay, considering that my fish is enormous.
Wow. Ooh.
Is that enough?
Yeah, we have to burn it.
Okay. Let's do
Goodness. Wow. Excellent.
Let's burn it up.
Yeah.
And now, how long do we have to wait?
I don't know. Maybe 1 hour or 2 hours until we get it done. Oh, so hot.
Chuỗi như này. We need to get more hay.
Yes.
Hiện đại nhiều vô.
One more. Oh, I think we did a good job. So he's got a present for us.
Here's your prize.
It's today's hidden word, and the word is scrumptious. Scrumptious. You want to pronounce it?
Yes.
Okay.
Scrumptious.
Ooh.
Wow.
He got 98. Good job. So that's for today. Thank you so much, Anh Long, for accompanying me to this trip. I've had a full stomach of rambutans. I've learned to grill fish, and I've studied a lot more about the lifestyle of the people in the southwestern. So,
you know, thanks to that trip, I actually have some eye-opening experience with you today.
Oh, really?
And you're so lovely and talented.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if you want to lead a peaceful and happy life, come to An Bình Island to restore your inner equilibrium. Bye-bye.
Oh my God, that's the voice of the year. You see why he is the voice of the year. And thank you so much for watching with us, and please stay tuned because we're still on the move and we're gonna visit another province in the next episode. Thank you.
I'm really fascinated by this episode adventure. I'm even more mesmerized by our special guest, who also happens to be last year's Voice of the Week champion. I mean, his pronunciation is on point. And the word of the day is also very cool. It's scrumptious. It's the kind of vocabulary that's going to be rewarded in the exam. All right? So if you want to perfect your pronunciation, what are you waiting for? Download the IELTS Speak app. It gives you instant feedback, and it's going to help you hone in on that native speaker-like level of pronunciation. Anyway, that's a wrap for this week's IELTS On The Go episode, and I'm dying to find out what the next adventure is. But don't go anywhere, because coming up next is IELTS Expert.
Hello, my name is Nguyễn Thị Trang. I'm studying at Hanoi National University of Education. My dare-to-do moment is the first time I slept overnight. This is the first time that I go to an event, a big event at meeting stadium, and I met a girl for like 30 minutes ago, and she is a relative of one of my friends, and she invited me to sleep at her flat, and I think for a moment, and I this many thinking come across my mind. First thing, I can be kidnapped, and maybe I can be bring to China. Yes, I'm so scared, but this is the first time then I finally decide that I slept out at her flat, and it turns out it's a very interesting night, and I never ever forget that night, and I'm so happy that at that moment I dare to do this.
Welcome back to the IELTS Face Off Nightly Show. This is IELTS Expert, and now let's hear from our very own Miss Mel Habinson. Yay!
Hello.
I'm digging your shirt.
Thank you.
Love florals. All right, so well, we just watched a very riveting video of the Chilling Delta. Have you heard of the Chilling Delta before?
Absolutely. The place where everyone can eat as much as they want, relax, take it easy, and just have a good balanced life.
Anyway, let's talk IELTS. Let's see what this week's trivia is going to be about. Do I lose mark if the examiner stops me in part 2 while I am speaking? Well, I think this is a very common question among all the learners, because obviously you speak too long, you get stopped, all right? But is it a bad thing? Is it necessarily a bad thing? Okay, what's your opinion? Okay, so the answer is obviously no. What does it mean when you get stopped in speaking part 2?
So the examiner will expect you to speak for around 2 minutes, between 90 seconds and 2 minutes. Usually when you've just gone over 2 minutes, the examiner will raise their hand and you need to stop speaking before their hand hits the desk.
Okay.
So you're not going to lose marks, absolutely, but what I'd recommend you do is learn a few phrases to round off a question quickly. So if you were talking about hobbies that you enjoy, you would just summarize by saying, so that's something I really enjoy, while the examiner's hand is going down.
Okay. What about the round-off question? I think there's like a little extra question at the end of part 2. Like, should we worry about that?
Just remember, it's more of a part 3 question than a part 1 question.
Okay.
In other words, when you hear that question, you're going to be expected to give a 4-sentence answer.
Okay.
Give a couple of examples and summarize. And what I always say to students is double tense.
Okay.
Make sure that you're not only answering in the present tense or the same tense as the question. Try to throw in an extra past tense or a conditional, just so you sound a little bit better.
All right, so we're going to hear from our Voice of the Week candidate this week, right? And let's find out who they are.
Hi, I'm An Bình. I'm a 12th grade student who is currently studying at the Vĩnh High School for the Gifted in Ninh Thuận province, a very small place in the center of Vietnam. This place has a lot of astonishing attractions, from the beach to the towers of Cham people in the Cham culture. But that is not the only thing about my hometown. Today, I would love to tell you guys more about an even more exciting part of Ninh Thuận province, the food. So the first one I'm showing you guys is called bánh canh chả cá. So bánh canh is a Vietnamese noodle which is made of the mixture of rice and tapioca flour. What makes this dish so special is the chả cá, the fish cakes.
So already I heard school for the gifted. That sounds pretty promising. That's like a subtle flex, you know?
I'm really excited to hear what he has to say.
Okay, so let's actually hear what he has to say. Shall we?
Yes. Hello, Kiet. Welcome to your speaking test. Let's start with part 1. What kind of clothes do you like to wear the most?
It probably depends on the situation or the background I'm in that I have to consider what to wear. But, you know, leave alone special occasions like that, casual clothes still reign supreme on my list. A pair of short denim is a perennial favorite, and t-shirt is definitely, you know, a perfect match for it.
Now we'll turn to part 2. You'll be given a topic and 1 minute to prepare. Describe something exciting that you have done in your life.
About a year ago, I had the privilege to attend a youth leadership forum in New York City. Despite a worn-out 16-hour flight, I was bursting with excitement about the trip. So the one-week forum was attended with 18 global representatives. We basically joined workshops covering topics about artificial intelligence, political borders, climate change, refugees in the 21st century, and then we developed a group project together. We were offered a chance to go inside the United Nations headquarters in order to have a closer look at the functions, the power of the UN, as well as the sustainable development goals that they are working on. It was such an extraordinary experience for us to learn, to share, to understand, and I feel like there was so much hope for humanity at the time. Besides workshops and lessons like that, we participated in activities including a visit to Manhattan for a day long. I was put a spell on by the allure of New York City. So first up, we went sightseeing to some of the most iconic attractions of New York City,
such as the Statue of Liberty, the Rockefeller Center, Times Square, and then we just let our hair down, took a walk through different avenues, checked out some Broadway theaters under the dazzling lights, and then we shared the rest of the evening together at a restaurant. One of the most memorable moments of that night was when we caught the rain on our way to the restaurant. It was the most New York in the best way. The trip to New York is a momentous event in my life. For the first time, I got to capture the uniquely nuanced, overlapping landscapes of culture in the place where people came in pursuit of fame and success.
Thank you. Now let's move on to part 3. In this part, I'd like to ask you a few questions related to the part 2 topic. Should people always avoid danger, or is it sometimes good to take risks?
I would say that I lean towards taking risks. From my perspective, people who contain themselves in a comfort zone lead a sedentary lifestyle, whereas people who allow themselves to try, to fail, to be broken can grow stronger. Risk-taking instills in people, strength, flexibility, patience, as well as a liberal mindset. Throughout the lives we live, there can be some intensive obstacles that we encounter, and the only way to overcome them is to be brave, to keep on going, to keep on standing up right after being knocked down. In fact, every story has two sides. They can either be, positive or negative. They can either be good or bad, but without testing it, you can never see the outcome.
Thank you, Kiet. That's the end of the speaking test.
All right, so what do you think are some of his strong points?
I love that he took some risks with language. He was actually using quite a lot of advanced phrases. Remember that in IELTS you can score high even if you make some errors, so long as it doesn't interrupt the examiner's ability to understand the answer. Okay. I could understand clearly everything that he was trying to say, even if occasionally some of his phrases weren't perfect. Okay,
so thank you for the very insightful comments. I think he'll be very happy to hear your feedback. Obviously, let's just say the bottom line is he's a strong candidate.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, so all the things that he can improve are relatively easy to do so. It doesn't, take too much time, right? Mm-hmm. So, Kit, you know what to do before the exam. And remember, guys, you guys can vote for Kit in our Voice of the Year competition at the end of the season. And he will get a chance to travel to Sydney for 1 week to visit Macquarie University.
Answers to the world's biggest questions are out there. When you connect with another and another, things just... That's you, to the power of us. It's a human equation that puts you at the heart of everything we do. It means knocking down the walls that limit us. So you can talk to an archaeologist, an artist, a radiographer, to look in the past for the answers of tomorrow. It means letting the ideas out of your head so others can shape them and run with them. To make a surfer invisible, to make retirement living decisions simple, to have a fish teach us to cure motor neurone disease. It means together we can make a synthetic yeast help billions. And it means that working with them lets her hear you. Because when you're powered by our collective, you become more than just you. You become you to the power of us. Macquarie University.
I thoroughly enjoyed this episode, and I hope you guys did too. I think the trip to the Mekong Delta by Khiêm and our previous Voice of the Year, Ngọc Long Bùi, really offered a fresh perspective on the way of life and the people in this region. And I think we can learn a ton from our IELTS test candidate. He was obviously a really strong contender for this year's Voice of the Year, so remember to vote for him. And until next time, my name is Tung Dang, this is IELTS Face Off.